Hello, how are you doing? Will Perry here with another Keeping the Conversation Alive. That's what I meant to say. So this one's an interesting one for me. Results equal self-esteem. Now, I could put many equations up there. You know, results equal work over... But I'm putting results equal self-esteem. So, and how those results... how to make those results the ones you want rather than the ones perhaps you're getting. So let me explain that, because it sure feels real, self-esteem, because I don't know whether you've seen it or not, but you could just Google it on YouTube, the Jordan Peterson video about self-esteem, really quick, short excerpt from his one of his many talks about self-esteem. Self-esteem isn't real. And for me, been 13 plus years. I always say 13 plus years because I don't have to count then. But 13, I got to 13. 13 plus years on this kind of self-esteem. Self-esteem is at the heart of it journey. And yeah, for me, it was all about self-esteem. So I built myself up, built the knowledge, the expertise around this. You know, I say expertise, my knowledge and passion, belief was around this thing called self-esteem. And then Jordan Peterson in a video says, self-esteem isn't real. So stop it, you know, and it's like, oh, this is going to be both interesting, fascinating, because I've been following him for a while. And it's like, yes, okay. Yet also I didn't want to hear it, so I kind of loved and hated that video. The fascinating thing is about it is absolutely right. Of course, self-esteem isn't a real thing. You can't measure it reliably, and he's got the Big Five personality profile tool, which I use, and within that. It mentions and references self-esteem. So self-esteem is something we understand. It's understand about our kind of maybe the more negative thoughts or the positive thoughts, whether it's healthy or low self-esteem. The negativity, for example, with low self-esteem, the negative thoughts that we have, but how that stops our actions. And the test that I use is the most reliable, best well-known, not reliable, the best known one, most widely used one, but it's only got 10 questions. It takes 2 minutes. But for me, that's really accessible, and that's a nice indicator of the kind of negativity that we have, or sensitivity to negativity we perhaps have within ourselves, and how that stops us taking actions that we want to take. But it's not the most reliable, and certainly in terms of this, you know, the Big Five, it doesn't. Yeah, it's not reliable. The Big Five is a much better indicator. However, I work with people. We do the personality profile, and it says they should have healthy self-esteem, but they don't. So it's like, okay, there's a gap here. That's really interesting, because we've got something really reliable and solid and structured in terms of the Big Five personality test. Yet we've got this difference, and that comes down to self-esteem. So, if you will, let me explain that in terms of why it sure feels real, but it isn't real, this self-esteem thing. So self-esteem is not real. Okay, I get around that. I can work with that. Yet it messes you up in every aspect of life, potentially. So the actions that you're getting, the actions that you take down here, be they positive or negative, are predicated by the thoughts that you have up here, be they positive or negative. So if you have negative thoughts about yourself, you're probably going to, if it's negative, there we go, it's probably going to feed into the actions that you take. And that's an easy equation to understand. And the actions that you take or don't take might be self-sabotage. Which is this one here. Self-sabotage. You're going to stab the knife in your own back, and that might be a funny thing to even think about. But you'll probably know areas in your life if you have low self-esteem. Take my 2-minute test, and it's just like a finger in the air. It's not real. It's just it's so weak in terms of reliability and cross cultures and everything. Whereas the Big Five is really solid and big. This one, but the self-esteem, I find that self-esteem test useful because it's so quick and it's so accessible, and it gives that finger in the air of which way's the wind blowing for you? Have you ever done that? Which way's the wind? Yeah, that way. Ping. Maybe it's a Cornwall thing. It isn't, but it isn't just a Cornwall thing. So that self-esteem that you have, that if it's a low level, what you think, and that's why the brain is in there, that's what you think will govern what action you take, and to what extent you self-sabotage. You hold yourself back. You might get really motivated, really up and understanding, really up motivated to take action, to build your business, to have a fantastic thing in your relationship, to do whatever it is. But just to be clear, this is shows itself most when it's about you. So you can be the most positive, optimistic, engaged employee, or doing things for other people. That's what I'm pointing. Doing things for other people. But this shows self-esteem, shows itself up when you're doing something for yourself. And I see that a lot when it's, looking after yourself. So whatever it is about self. Health. Do you look after yourself? Probably not. Can you put yourself first? Because that's what you have to do when you look after yourself with your health. What is in business? What relationships do you have? Do you attract negative relationships? Because if you do, guess what's at the heart of it? It's this stuff, the negative. I don't deserve. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. And that kills so much. That attracts so much negativity. That's shooting yourself in the foot or stabbing yourself in the back without intending to, without realizing it. But the mechanism, that's right, the mechanism is there. And I always point down here in the deep part of the brain. That's your neck, but it goes so deep in the subconscious that it's almost down here that you don't realize you're doing that. You're repeating these patterns, and it's really destructive and so unnecessary, but you can't see it. You can't see this stuff. So now what am I going to do? A pair of glasses. You can't see this stuff. And it's a really, really difficult thing to do. I'm going to have to go anal and go, oh no, I'm going to have to get a blue on that one. So yeah, you can't see this stuff. And that's why it gets really tricky, because you're not aware of this stuff and how it affects you and how it holds you back, how it sabotages you. Because it surely does. So scratch your head with there. But anyway, this stuff messes every aspect of your life, but you can't see it. And how can that be? Because it's so deep in our subconscious that you don't understand it. You can't see it. You need to join all the dots. And for me, that's where this stuff is so relevant, so pertinent. I find this fascinating. So whilst I loved and hated that video of self-esteem isn't real, absolutely right. So it's this whole process of what you think, particularly about yourself, what actions you can take and you do take from that, and how you sabotage yourself, how you sabotage your own positivity and actions, and what you do for yourself. Again, for yourself, because you can be the most positive doormat for other people, and that's it's such a truism. You can be a doormat for other people, they walk all over you, and it's such a horrible thing. And I've spent so much of my life in that kind of way, that realm where people are taking advantage of you so often. And they walk on you, and you kind of don't want that, and you don't understand it because you keep giving so much. You're such an empath, but you can't see it yourself. And it comes back to the thoughts that you're having and how you sabotage yourself and how that inhibits your actions. So the solution is really understand this stuff, understand your situation, learn new coping mechanisms rather than just the patterns that you're on. And these are very much kind of patterns, the brain, number one, what you're thinking, what action that leads to, number two, and then ultimately what action sabotage mechanism that leads to in number 3. So what you want to do is learn a different 1, 2, 3, and that takes some time. That takes action. That takes you doing something, believing in something enough, or believing in somebody enough if it's a provider or something like that, a coach, a psychotherapist, but a lot of people don't in this kind of coaching, psychotherapy, psychology world don't work in such a, oh, careful saying in depth, but don't work in it in such an overt way. And I find that frustrating because it doesn't give you the control. It kind of takes it away from you, which is frustrating. This is what I hear from a lot of clients as well over the years, over the 13 plus years. Really understanding your situation without having to, spend years over it, you can understand it relatively quickly. So my invitation is to you is to see where you're stopped. What predominant thoughts do you have? Are you able to recognize them? Is it, I'm useless, I'm not good enough, I'm this, I'm that, and can you see where it stops you? Can you see where you sabotage yourself? And what I guess I invite you and implore you to do is to get help, because that pattern doesn't break itself. That pattern keeps going on. So unless you break that pattern and create new mechanisms, it will just continue, and your life will continue to be self-sabotaged. And I don't want that for you, because I've had that for so many years of my life. I know how exhausting and how difficult it is. And what a waste of your life it is. And I'm not saying you're wasting your life, but there's so much more you can do. But by going on a course about how to be better, going on a course about marketing skills, you won't be able to implement it, because your brain will dominate. The negativity within your brain will dominate. What we call the self-esteem will equal your results, and I don't want that for you if it's negative. All right, many thanks. Do ask me any questions on this. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Speak to you soon. I hope you have an awesome rest of the day. Bye-bye.